What up? Okay, guys. So I was about to start my Poke MMO, during lunch live stream, playing a little bit of Poke MMO during live stream. But I found another video that I wanted to react to. So yesterday I did a reaction to a new trailer for Dragon Quest III HD Duty remake, 2D remake, and today I saw that my good friend RPG Archive with Majority came out with this video, the best classes in Dragon Quest 3 and how to get them. And I just decided to react to it. I haven't watched it yet. These guys are, by the way, like my best friends of all time. So I will be a little bit of, biased, but I'm curious to see this video. So that's why I wanted to react to it. And yeah, let's get freaking into it, okay? So here we go. Such a cute intro.
Well, speaking of grinding,
that's
a great transition because we've passed over one of the major points of this game, and I want to make sure we cover it. The All Trades Abbey. Let's talk about this because we talked about classes earlier. What about changing classes mid-game?
Yeah,
good question.
I love going in All Trades Abbey for. Well, no, it's called the Dharma.
Oh, Dharma! Oh my God, they're gonna kill me for that. It's the
Yeah, you're dead, dude.
Yeah,
you're dead.
First off, I love the connection that, like, I guess it would be in Asia, like in kind of like Mongolia, Russia kind of area in the world map there.
I wonder where this gameplay is from. By the way,
but
are they playing?
I love that it's called Dharma after kind of like Buddhist principle of like understanding suffering and struggle, and in the sense that you suffer because your character returns to level 1.
Wow, that's deep. Majority,
but you get the added
preaching,
benefit.
Bro. That's deep.
You will maintain all skills that your character has learned if they're like a mage or something, and all stats will be cut in half.
I love how they have
if they started at level
Game
1,
Boy Color version.
Shit to begin with, so having them at half is actually not a bad deal.
No, it encourages you to do.
It's one of my favorite versions of this game.
Cool, and I probably should have done it for one of my characters, but I didn't. But and you did, so good for you.
I did that later in the game though, and way later. Like by the time I was at the end, when I first got here and I had managed to get around level 20 for all my characters, I picked 2, and I switched them. I made my mage a sage, and I made my fighter a warrior.
Smart.
Yeah, and I did that too.
That's smart.
It was weird picking which one to make a sage because they learn a bunch of spells anyway. So to make a mage a sage was actually not that necessary. If I could have done this over, I wouldn't have even picked a mage.
To begin with?
Yes, because the HP on my sage was terrible. He'd always be the first one to go. He had a wicked MP stat and like a lot of good spells, but
yeah, he'll probably go over this, but I always do priest into sage because it's just to make up the HP portion for the stats, but yeah, I'm assuming this was probably like he's talking about like his first playthrough of DQ3, which obviously every time I've played a DQ game for the first time, I always learn how to better replay it afterwards. So it sounds like he definitely had that, trial, sort of run, which is cool. But yeah, it's true, man. Mages have horrible HP and a better route would be
it would have been more beneficial
sage.
To have like, honestly, I want to try the game with a dealer or with a thief.
Interesting.
Pick one. The thief is not that beneficial, but
when I see a character like the thief in one of these games, I assume it's going to be way too technical for me to use. Like you got to put him to sleep, and then you can hit like backstab. I don't know that for a fact. That's how it works, but God, I don't like dealing with that shit.
Like the poison dagger and the assassin dagger, but they just don't have that many skills aside from like being able to steal items from enemies every so often, and like that just kind of happens naturally. And they're really agile, and you can go undetected. So if you're trying to avoid random battles for a while, there's no like repels or anything, so you can't just avoid monsters.
Heh,
Yeah.
Pokemon reference.
So
Love
the
it.
thief is beneficial on that end. The dealer, I thought, like, only after I played the game did I learn this. You could like set up tent with the dealer as you're on the world map, so you could get items as you need them,
Oh, that's cool.
I didn't know that.
and like stay at an inn. You could call the deal, like the inn, to come to you.
That's legit.
You can set up
And
a
so
tent. I didn't
underestimated
even
the
know
dealer
that.
class.
I just learned something new. Thank you, Majority.
Well, after seeing Bart, I wasn't gonna hire
Well,
a dealer.
the biggest reason why I didn't know that is because every time I use dealer is basically the merchant in the newer versions of the games, but um, I didn't know you could do that. So every time I get a merchant on the party, it's only to do the quest for the yellow orb. So I never really had a merchant for longer than like traveling to the city or the village that you've built. So yeah. And then in terms of what Spencer was saying, I agree with like I never really am like interested in getting a thief because for me I just like the classic like hero, knight or what warrior, and then the freaking um priest and then mage, right? And then I like turning the priest into a sage. And so yeah, that's always been kind of like the way I go. With the new game coming out, HD 2D remake, I'm definitely gonna try the monster wrangler, so it's definitely gonna be a different setup, but yeah, yeah, so anyway, we'll see. Let's continue. These guys are doing awesome. Yeah.
So corrupt.
Yeah.
In the you mentioned the sage. That one's unique because you can only upgrade it with that book, or if you got a jester to level 20.
Oh, or I like that. That was adorable.
Yeah.
But you had to get the jester to level 20, which actually, I mean, late game, probably pretty doable.
A lot easier.
Early
Yeah,
game,
sure, you could just
No.
recruit a jester and do that, but the sage is really not going to save you that much by the end.
no, I didn't actually find the sage to be in later versions.
Unless you like grind with him a lot. But the problem with the sage as well is that he actually it's harder to grind with the sage. Like once he gets to like past level 20, like, and the monsters get a lot stronger, but it takes longer to level up a sage and learn spells than it does like a basic vocation or a basic a normal vocation. So it becomes more challenging, or you would have to at least grind much more if you want to really reap like the full benefits of a sage later on in the game, which for me is not really a problem because I love to grind. But if someone's trying to just kind of get through the story, then yeah, I don't even know if getting a sage might even be that beneficial in that case. If you're just kind of trying to beat the story and then move on sort of thing to a next game or whatever, like I don't even know if getting a sage would even be fully worth it. It might, but yeah. But anyway,
Versions of the game, the sage is like top tier, like huge
Yeah.
deal. Like in 7, I remember like a sage is about as good as you can get. I didn't really feel that in this one.
well,
Although I like the
champion
expanded move
is
list.
because
Yeah,
sage is
stats
still
themselves
intermediate
were pretty
vocation
low.
in 7, but
You're better off having a
it's all
cleric
good. It's
with
all
like
good.
Kazing,
Mhm.
like the full revive ability.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a really helpful spell to have.
Yep, 100%.
And with that, it's worth talking about the personalities.
Mm.
Yeah.
So when you tie into these different classes,
Great
you're actually supposed to match
thing to
their
talk about.
personality to get the most out of it, which adds quite a wrinkle to the leveling up progression system
Yep.
that you were trying to achieve.
Yep.
Which
Sure.
again pushes this way beyond like what Final Fantasy did. And this isn't a shot at Final Fantasy.
I hope that, because I don't know that the original or the past versions of DQ3, I don't know that they like actually explained exactly what stats you would gain depending on the personality you had on your character. I hope that the new version, the HD 2D remake, has it where it actually shows the stat benefits that you would get from leveling up with each different personality. I hope that they have some sort of, way to see that. I honestly don't know if that was possible in the past versions. Maybe there was someone you can talk to in the world that would do that, kind of like in Pokemon games, if you were trying to see if your Pokemon was like, average, above average, outstanding, blah blah blah, and like what stats they're best at. I don't know if it was like that in the past versions of the games. I don't even know if it was available at all. I know people know now because of like searching it online, but like I hope that information is in the game, in the HD 2D remake. So anyway,
Fantasy is that was the first attempt, and they're all growing right now. But this makes it so much more complicated and interesting. And you find these books along the way that you can change your personalities
yeah,
and adjust.
Yeah.
And
Where do you find those books too?
in the bookshelves.
Right. So like I love that about this game is that like, not only do you want to talk with everyone, you want to interact with everything because there's these bookshelves
Classic.
with books that
Classic
change your personalities
RPG
to get maybe
take,
special books to help you to grow your class. Like, to become a sage, you need a Zen book. So you'd have to look on the bookshelves. But then like with the personality max like stats,
Yeah.
it completely alters like, depending on if you pick a smart book, you're going to have a smart character for like a mage or a sage or a cleric, and that's perfect because you don't need strength for them. But like there's other ones where it's maybe a luck stat or something, and sometimes even if you just like look in a mirror, it screws you up. Like it'll change your personality to vain, or if you put like on bunny ears, suddenly you're a lucky character who has sucky attack, and it's like, oh shit, like every little thing counts.
Yeah, but there's
He
how
says
you
the F
there's how
word.
you raise your. Okay, so if you mentioned that you were like a Pokemon guy.
Yeah, this is Pokemon before Pokemon, like the advanced Pokemon's before them.
It's
Yeah.
true. They're
I mean,
basically
this would be
abilities
equivalent to probably
in Pokemon.
the what do you call it, mating
Or
thing,
natures.
where you get an egg or children thing.
They didn't do this in
Children's
Pokemon until Gen 3, where you had
Yep.
natures.
Yep.
And so
Oh.
your personality would
Correct.
be the equivalent of a nature. And surprisingly, there are like as many in this as there are then, which
Yeah.
is like 15, 20 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's good to know, because that's what people that play. One of the reasons, and this, again, you mentioned we should tie into that 2006 article making it number 3 of favorite games of all time. There is a group of people very dedicated to this game that like to min-max to the umpteenth degree.
Yeah.
And what they do is they get a character, they give him, a certain, they like a warrior or something. They give him the strength stat, or they give him the agility stat, whatever stat they want him to be good at. They give him the book that gives him the most of that stat.
Mm.
Raise him as high as they can get him. Class change him to the next character that they want him to be. Give that character the new book, and make sure that stat goes all the way up, because every time it gets halved, but sometimes it can get halved from already incredibly high heights, and that's how they
Right.
make the perfect party.
Damn.
Those people have a lot of time on their hands,
Yeah.
and they're not me. But
Same.
that is why the battle system and the party system is so complex in this game that it's beyond probably most Dragon Quests, honestly, in terms of complexity.
I'll tell you what, though, if you take that hour or two to do that, you're going to save yourself 2 to 3 hours of grinding.
Yeah. If you take the hour to do like one or two, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, but it's really just an awesome system to invest yourself in. Those of you playing this game for the first time or second time, whatever, I highly encourage you to just look at the personality guides. I would like go back and like confirm these are all the books I have in my inventory right now. It's not that I was going hunting books, like I'm not like a book fiend, or whatever. I do read books, but I'm not that into this. But
Whoa,
I
bro.
would just say like I have
Book
like
thief
a Star
over
book,
here?
a great book, and a Zen book, and this is my character. This is what their stats are. Which one is going to give me the net positive rate for what I need it to, for like vitality and for strength? And then I would pick that, and then I would use that for a while until I
Yeah.
got more books. And I would just, it's
Pretty
not that I was
sage
sink
advice.
hours into it, but like I would be aware of it as I was playing, and it did lead me to have a really good team.
Yeah, for me, I'll say I've never actually cared, but mostly because I've always made up for all of that, like, those extra stat gains with just more grinding. But now that I have, a severely less time to like grind and stuff like that, I definitely would probably play HD 2D remake with that in mind, with being more aware of like the books I have and all of that. What I want to know, which someone should be able to answer this question for me pretty easily, but are the personalities for each book, do they only increase one stat, or do they increase like +2 of this one and then maybe +1 of this stat? You know what I mean? Like that's what I would like to know, like, because there's so many different personalities and there's only like 6 stats, right? So it's like, which is it, like one personality specifically, does like +2 and 1 and then -1 and 1 stat, you know what I mean? That's what I like to know, and that's what I was saying earlier. That's what I would like to see like in the game. I hope that that would explain it in the game, so I better knew which route, which personality I want to give specifically to each of like uh my characters, because that's how it works in Pokemon, right? Like for example, there's like there's some natures that are like that don't have any gains whatsoever, but there's some that like have a +1 in attack but a -1 in special attack, for example, right? So you want to get the right nature for the right Pokemon. But anyway, so yeah, that's kind of, I'm assuming it works the same way for Dragon Quest 3, because I mean it should, because again, there's way more personalities than there are stats. So but yeah, but I just want to know what those are, and then actually care about the books a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this definitely is the way to go. And there's a really great guide. It's dragonquest.org wiki. They have a personality types thing in here, and they tell you which books to
There you go.
use to get the result you want. I mean, you got an Amazon here. Its strength is at 130%.
Yeah.
Looks like Bat Out of Hell is the good one for getting your agility up. It's 100% for everything except for agility. It's 140% growth. So that's just representing how your stats grow.
There you go. That's what I was literally.
Some of those books will be in the negative percentile, though, and some of them will just be at a flat.
Absolutely.
Right.
There's one called Mule, and it makes you stubborn. And it's negative 90% stat growth.
Right. See,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about.
If you're not aware of it at all, of the stat changes, it could make this game a very hard time for you.
Yeah, that's why I've never cared.
Absolutely.
That's why I've never cared about them.
Ironically, Wimp, which makes you cowardly, is only negative 10% stat bonus. You'd think something like that would be a real game changer, but doesn't seem so bad. But it also affects how fast you learn abilities, which matters to the characters that learn abilities.
True.
So that's an important one. I think that's the wisdom stat. Helps you learn things faster. So
I think everything has a preordained level based on what character you are. If you're a sage or something, there's a guide for that, like when you will get certain skills.
So there's guides for it, but Spencer was right in the sense of like, for example, depending on a specific stat, like your mage can learn their boom spell. They might learn it at 30, or they might learn it at 31, or they might learn it at 32. That's an example. It's not. I'm not saying that they'll learn that spell at those levels, but that is definitely a thing. I've had that happen to me where like the guide says I'm supposed to learn boom at 30, and I didn't learn it until 32 or whatever. You know what I mean? And so yeah, it's kind of interesting, but that is how it works.
I thought that the higher intelligence made you learn them faster.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the
Sure?
That wasn't in my
intelligence.
experience, no, because I purposely
But,
got
yeah,
my
that
cleric
is
to
true.
level 37 because it would get revive at that level.
Yeah, and they probably had the correct personality for. That's why they got it at 37. But
Maybe that's the case, and I misread. Yeah.
No, you
that
right. You
could
right.
easily be the case, and maybe I just misread the stat.
List of spells in Dragon Quest 3: be Frizz, Hero level 2, Mage level 1, Sage level 1. There's a whole list of these, and it tells you the level you get it at.
Gotcha. Okay, scratch that one. Ignore that.
No, you're right. You're right.
But yeah, the personalities are super.
I don't know
important.
I don't know if it's like the later spells that works with, but yeah, no, Spencer is right. It's like later on, I think the same list will even say it. I don't know if it says it or not, but I have experienced that. It is true. Where I didn't know it was based off of the stat, like the intelligence or wisdom stat, but I do know that it does happen. And I know I've seen guides that say that you can learn boom from level 30 to 32 or 30 to 33 or something like that. But yeah, but that is a thing. It might be more with like more advanced spells. I don't know, but yeah, that is a thing.
So don't neglect them if you're playing them.
Mm.
Definitely.
Yeah, even if you don't have to go crazy on it, but like, trust me, like once you start looking at it, you're gonna look at your books that you have that you've collected and go like, which one can I put on my hero? And it is kind of fun. So.
Yeah, and it kind of I mean, it doesn't really, but it's kind of fun to know that your character's like a jerk or an Amazon or a wimp.
Yeah.
Because there's not really much else character.
All right, it's definitely subscribe to these guys, bro. But yeah, great video, great information for people that don't know about personalities, or I mean the video itself is more talking about, the whole point of the video is to explain how you get a sage, but I like all of the details on explaining personalities and all that, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, this is a great video. So yeah, guys, yeah, Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake is upon us. We are so close, and this information is definitely good to know if you want to get the most out of your playthrough, be the most prepared. But yeah, so shout out to these guys. And yeah, thank you guys for watching my reaction. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you want me to keep doing these, or if you want me to just stop. Tell me to stop and I'll stop. Maybe, because I enjoy doing these. Anyways, like and subscribe. Consider becoming a member, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.